I accidentally rode bulls in Tanzania 9 years ago and had hip pain ever since. I finally got surgery 23 days ago. If you missed my Tanzania story, go back to my day 1 video. It's got a little more detail there. But why didn't I go to the doctor sooner? I mean, I sorta did. I have frequent doctor visits normally for my mental health. Mental health is important. Listen to your body, not the mean voices in your head. And a normal question that doctors will ask is what your pain score is. Mine was never a 0, typically a 2 to 4, depending on the weather, my activity level, environmental pressures, etc. General practitioners don't deal with hip issues, so I was referred to a specialist a couple of years later. I went, he didn't do any diagnostics, and kind of just said I didn't have scoliosis, which I didn't think that I did, but that I probably have some arthritis and to try chronic NSAID therapy, which essentially just means taking an ibuprofen every day. Please note that nothing I say in this video is medical advice. Some of these things could make your problem worse. Anyways, I did the daily ibuprofen for a while, but it didn't make any noticeable difference, so I eventually stopped. But I was still in pain, and eventually I had a really noticeable limp. I decided to try a chiropractor and note that there's really not much evidence that chiropractic therapy works at all, so I was skeptical but also somewhat desperate. Now, my limping did decrease. However, I am still skeptical because 20 to 30 minutes prior to your actual adjustment, you do a bunch of essentially PT exercises, and so that alone might have been what helped. But the jury is out. My problem was not fixed, but at this point I felt like I had tried everything. Hot packs, cold packs, chronic NSAID therapy, stretching, specialists who seemed unconcerned, and even the chiropractic visits. So life went on for more years. At the beginning of the year, my best friend and fiance finally convinced me to go to another specialist. My mobility was starting to get worse again. It was starting to really impact my daily life. I was resistant because I didn't think they were going to find anything, and I thought it would be a waste of money because I was afraid they'd either tell me that they couldn't find anything or that it was just arthritis that they couldn't fix. I'll admit that as a doctor, doctors really are the worst patients. I finally went and he found the answer with just an x-ray. Turns out I had an FAI, or femoroacetabular impingement, which is essentially a bony growth on top of my femoral head. That bony lump was scraping against my joint every single time I took a step. How does that happen, you might ask? Bones actually can still mold and repair themselves, unlike what the dairy industry would like you to believe. When I hurt myself, I hurt the bone, and it tried to build itself up stronger than before and give itself some more cushion, and instead it ended up doing more harm than good. My doctor also did some mobility and pain measurements, and at the end, he was just like, "You're on fire, aren't you?" Yeah. I then got a CT and MRI, and they showed that I also had a lot of tearing of my labrum, or the cartilage that surrounds the bone. It was also shredded in several places from all the scraping. Surgery to shave down that bone and tack down that cartilage was really my only option to have a chance at being pain-free. As someone who was expecting nothing, this was weirdly the best answer. The moral of this story is that even though the healthcare system, particularly in America, is the worst, advocate for yourself, because even when it gets hard, I'm lucky I didn't end up with more arthritis than I did from waiting for so long. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you tomorrow.